Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Appreciate you being here with us. College World Series is underway, and the offenses are wasting no time hitting a ton of line drives. Every time I look up there, there's a ball on a string. It's 3-3 at this point. West Virginia and Troy tied in the top of the third or fourth inning. My eyes aren't good enough to identify that scoreboard, so we'll get it figured out in time. But there are a lot of line drives being hit. My eyes are good enough to see that. So you're looking at you're looking at two teams without a true ace. You don't have Cade Anderson or Paul Skeens up there. You don't have Hurston Waldrop up there. You don't even have the guys that you're going to see from the big boys. You don't have Dylan Volantis. You don't have Taylor Rabe. You don't have Jason DeCaro. You don't have Joey Volchko. You don't have those guys at West Virginia and Troy, but you do have some capable offensive players, and they are certainly swinging it early in this game. And I would imagine both teams are going to go into that bullpen, which is going to make the winner of tonight's game between Ole Miss and North Carolina a very, very happy camper, because you're going to see some real bullpen arms used in this game, it looks like, because these starters don't look long for it from up in Omaha. We visited with Peter Burns back in hour number 1. If you missed that, you can go catch it on demand. Peter's going to be a busy dude up there with 5 SEC teams to play. And we'll talk a little bit more College World Series as we move on. I wanted to have some fun here to elevate the vibes here on a Friday. I wrote this piece at LouisianaSports.net earlier today. When you think about the Jay Johnson era and the 2 national championship runs that LSU has made in Omaha, you think about the most impactful moments. You think about Paul Skeens and Rhett Lauder going toe-to-toe. You think about Tommy White's walk-off home run. You think about the Josh Pearson catch in left field in Game 1 of the finals and Cade Beloso hitting the extra inning home run there. You think about Ty Floyd's 17 strikeouts. You think about the dominant effort that LSU gave in Game 3 to beat Jack Caglione in Florida. You come into 2025, and you think about the Cade Anderson opening game outing against Arkansas, and you think about the walk-off win against Arkansas with Jared Jones and the crazy play Hernandez hit into Cade's complete game shutout in Game 1 of the championship series. You think of Curiel's time there. You think of Milam's time there. You think of the headliners, right? And so what I wanted to do is just go like one layer deeper and go to some unsung moments that you may not immediately recall when I talk about those 2 runs, but I think I can jog your memory. It's just good vibes on a Friday. So I wrote about it at LouisianaSports.net, and I'll just walk you through some of the things that I talked about, some under-the-radar moments from LSU's runs in Omaha under Jay Johnson. You remember in 2023 that LSU started the College World Series against Tennessee, and Paul Skeens dominated in that game. LSU was leading 5-0. Tennessee could not sniff Skeens. He was brilliant, and he was through 7 shutout innings. LSU sent him back for the 8th, and Maui Ahuna, who was Tennessee's shortstop that year, singled to drive in Tennessee's first run in the 8th inning, and that got Skeens out of the game. 5-1, 8th inning, LSU still in control. Well, Gavin Guidry comes in and immediately gives up a 2-run homer to Hunter Inslee. It's 5-3. Now, if you're in that Tennessee dugout, Game 1 of the College World Series, Tennessee did not throw Chase Dolander in that game. They went with Andrew Lindsey instead. So you now have some momentum. You've scored 3 runs in the 8th inning, and look, Skeens is out. So it's a tight ball game. Well, Riley Cooper gets the last out of the 8th inning, and LSU comes to bat in the bottom of the 8th. And winning 5-3, Braden Jobert hits a homer. And that makes it 6-3. And that just changed the dynamics of that game from a tight 2-run game where Tennessee suddenly has life without the big bad wolf on the mound. And Jobert steals momentum back with the home run, and LSU wins at 6-3. I thought that was a huge moment in that College World Series. Then Wake Forest beats LSU. LSU comes back and beats Tennessee. You remember Nate Ackenhausen threw the great game. I don't think that was under the radar. He threw 6 shutout innings. He was awesome in that game. But against LSU was going to have to beat Wake Forest twice. And in the first Wake Forest game, you did not have Skeens or Floyd available. They were not on enough rest. So you were going to have to beat the best lineup in the country without your 2 only starters. So who does Jay Johnson go to as the starting pitcher in that game? Well, he goes to Javen Coleman, who did not last very long. And you're going to have to figure out something on the mound. And so they went to a freshman. And they went to Griffin Herring. And because this game did not feature a lot of drama, Herring's effort might go a little bit unremembered. He went 4 2/3 shutout against the best team in the country offensively and allowed only 3 hits with 6 strikeouts and 1 walk. We know what Griffin Herring was in 2024. He was among the best relievers in college baseball. He was not that in June of 2023. And he shut Wake Forest down for the majority of that baseball game and allowed LSU's offense to go to work, and LSU won 5-2 to force that decisive game, which you all know is one of the great games in LSU baseball history. I think Griffin Herring's outing in that game was as amazing as almost anything LSU did in Omaha that year, because he hadn't his long outing of the year was 3 innings to that point. He went 4 2/3. It was incredible. So then you turn the page to Game 5 for LSU, which was the Rhett Lauder, Paul Skeens game. You know the highlights from that game. Skeens incredible, Lauder incredible, Trey Morgan squeeze bunt, saved it, and then the home run that was a walk-off by Tommy White. Like, that's what you remember from that game. It was a 2-0 ball game. But what many might forget, unless you've watched the YouTube highlights 5,000 times, which I certainly have, is that after Trey Morgan made the squeeze play at home plate to erase the go-ahead run in a 0-0 game, Wake Forest still, at that point, had first and second with 2 outs. And Skeens was near the end of his rope. And the worst guy you could have at the plate, if you're LSU, was coming to the plate with first and second 2 out. And that's Tommy Hawk, who was Wake Forest's leadoff guy. He was a .351 hitter. He didn't strike out a ton. He was left-handed. He squatted down real low, and he swung like he was swatting at flies, just swatting the ball. And that's the approach you've kind of got to have against Skeens. I would much rather deal with one of their big sluggers who's probably going to swing through it. And Hawk, with first and second, 2 out in a 0-0 game, hit a screaming line drive to left field. I mean, had to be 105 off the bat. And it hung up for Josh Pearson. That moment in that game, if that ball gets down, whether it's left, right, short, or long, and not right at Pearson and left, LSU's going to lose the game. Because Morgan just erased the run at home plate, but there's another one that's going to score with 2 outs, and you made the play. That was absolutely huge. The second underrated moment from that game, when I say Thatcher Hurd, you think of probably the Florida game to finish it, and maybe what he did against North Carolina and Chapel Hill. These were 3 of the most impactful innings he ever pitched. I would suggest Game 3 against Florida was as important, but maybe not, because he was starting that game and you had a chance to swing the bats offensively. In this instance, it is 0-0. He comes in the 9th inning. He pitched the 9th, the 10th, and the 11th against Wake Forest. When he came into that game, his ERA was almost 6, and he pitched 3 shutout innings. Did Wake Forest hit the ball hard at times? Yes. Did they threaten to score? Yes. In fact, his last out in the 11th inning, that there was 2 on, 2 out. Who was coming up? Brock Wilken, the all-time ACC home run leader, Wake Forest record holder for single-season homers with 31, Wake Forest single-season record holder for runs and for walks. And there's 2 guys on base with 2 out, and Thatcher Hurd's got to face him, and he got to fly out to center field. Thatcher Hurd's 3 innings in that game were absolutely as impactful as Trey Morgan's squeeze bunt, as Paul Skeens' first 7 innings of that game. You had to have shutout baseball, and Thatcher Hurd delivered it against Wake Forest, who was so good. Now, Tommy Tank stole the show at the end, but Thatcher Hurd probably goes unremembered in that instance. Now I go to 2025. Game 1 against Arkansas. You're looking at Zach Root against Cade Anderson, 2 of the best left-handers in the country. But LSU chased Root in the 2nd inning. Well, why? How did they do that? Well, you may not remember that LSU in the 2nd inning put runners at first and second with 1 out. And when you bunt with 1 out, like, you're giving up the at-bat. Usually a bunt's with nobody out. But they bunted with 1 out and runners at first and second because Daniel Dickinson's hand was broken. We didn't know that, but he had a broken hand. and he drops down a bunt with one out in the second inning, and it's so good it's a base hit. It's a base hit on what was supposed to be a sacrifice bunt. That led to a 3 spot that was Chris Stanfield's RBI single and Josh Pearson's RBI fielder's choice, and that helped dent the scoreboard and get Root out of there. You don't chase Zach Root in the second inning, which changes the entire fabric of the College World Series because Dave Van Horn's got to go to his bullpen in the second inning of the first game. And Arkansas got sent to the loser's bracket. So Dickinson's bunt in the second inning of the College World Series was so big, and it's even more exemplified because you realize he had a broken hand. Now we'll go forward to Game 3. That's the one where Jared Jones walks off Arkansas to advance to the championship series. Now, Arkansas led 1-0 in that game because Landon Beidelshees, their soft-tossing lefty, put forth a career outing, and LSU couldn't solve him. Now, Zach Cowan was matching him, but Beidelshees was just baffling LSU. And finally, in the bottom of the 6th inning, LSU got into a massive moment. Ethan Fry doubled. He represented the tying run, and then Stephen Milam got hit by a pitch. So Dave Van Horn had a decision to make at this point, 2 of them in this inning. He goes to Gabe Gackle at that point, who was throwing 96 miles an hour. His slider was unbelievable. And 3 nights ago, he had carved LSU up in relief of Zach Root. So LSU's got 2 guys on, and Jay Johnson elects to bunt Luis Hernandez. So he bunts the runners to second and third with 1 out for Jared Jones. Jared Jones strikes out on a slider. So now you've got 2 out. Remember, y'all, we're all going nuts about Jared Jones. Bench him. He can't hit a slider. Terrible this, terrible that. Okay. He strikes out. So now it's decision time for both managers. And Jay Johnson took Dave Van Horn to school. What happened was, with 2 outs and runners at second and third, Josh Pearson was coming up. He's left-handed, Gackle's right-handed, throws a lot of sliders. So Dave Van Horn didn't love that matchup. He walked Pearson to load the bases for Chris Stanfield, a right-handed hitter. But Jay Johnson had a bullpen, a bench bullet ready to go by the name of Jake Brown. Jake Brown's left-handed. He saw the Gackle slider. He punched into left center field for a 2-run single. LSU takes a 2-1 lead. Just a massive, massive bit of managing there by Jay Johnson to force Dave Van Horn's hand. He drops the bunt down. Jones strikes out. There's a base open. Van Horn incorrectly chooses to walk Pearson. He thinks he's getting Stanfield. Instead, Jay Johnson pinch hits for his junior left fielder who led the SEC, center fielder at the time, led the SEC in doubles with Jake Brown, gets the big hit. Huge bench moment from Jay Johnson there. But there was more. I thought a huge moment in the game that we may not think about as much because we think about the next inning was in the 8th. Because you remember Arkansas took the lead. LSU tried to turn a double play. They threw the ball to Jarrett Jones. Jones mishandled it at first base. It trickled away. The go-ahead run scored, and all of a sudden LSU is behind by 1 in the 8th inning. They never made misplays on defense, and they made a misplay trying to turn that double play. So you're down by 1 in the 8th inning. You remember Jones's last at-bat in the 9th that walked it off the line drive. But in the 8th, with 2 out and nobody on, down 1, Jones homered. Huge, huge moment in the game to retie it and give LSU a little bit of life. Because all of a sudden you're looking up going, oh my gosh, Arkansas's bullpen's awesome. They've got a 1-run lead. We've only got 6 out to work with. Now we've only got 4 outs to work with. And Jones hits a homer. I think that was an underrated moment in the College World Series. And then I've got one more game to talk about. It's the clincher. Game 4, there's not a lot of unheralded stuff. Cade Anderson went a complete game shutout, and LSU scored 2 runs. Milam had a big hit early in the game, and that's the game. But in Game 5, I think there was an unsung moment. And it was a couple of guys who were great all College World Series long, but played huge key moments in Game 5. One was Chris Stanfield, who had gotten the big hit against Zach Root in the first game of the College World Series. And then against the Sun Belt pitcher of the year, Jacob Morrison, big 2-run single to left field to get the game going in the decisive Game 2 on that Sunday afternoon. When you consider how good Root had been all year and how good Morrison had been all year, for Stanfield to get those 2 huge hits was just awesome. And then I want to talk about Shores briefly, because you know he got the last few outs, but this is an underrated part of what he did in Omaha. When I say Chase Shores in Omaha, you think of probably a couple things. One, that he was throwing 101 miles an hour, and 2, that he threw the last pitch of the College World Series. That's what you think about Chase Shores. That's what I think about too. But also, you have to consider that this is a guy who entered the College World Series with 31 walks issued in 56 and 2/3 innings. So more than a walk every 2 innings. That's a lot of walks. He threw 7 innings in Omaha at 101 miles an hour the whole time. 7 innings, throwing gas. No walks. Not a single one. That's an underrated, underappreciated aspect of what Chase Shores did in Omaha. He was not only throwing so hard that college hitters were going to have a real problem with him, he was not walking anybody. When Chase Shores came in Omaha, you were going to have to hit to beat him. Now, Arkansas did it. They got 2 huge hits off of Chase Shores to score runs. They chased him from the game. LSU ended up going with Jacob Myers in the end of that inning, in the 9th inning, because they beat Arkansas beat Chase Shores. Just so happened that LSU came back and won late. But Shores did not allow you to have anything. You had to earn everything. That was an underrated aspect of that. So no LSU in the College World Series this year. Of course, the big news of the day is that some middle infielders that are going to be on LSU's team next year that are pretty salty. Stephen Milam coming back, and Cade Kurland now withdrawing from the MLB draft. Maybe there's a trip to Omaha next year. But in any event, with these 2 weeks, with the College World Series going on, there's enough good vibes from the last 3 years with that jog down memory lane that you can feel pretty good about it. So just a jog down memory lane. The ball is jumping at Omaha right now, though. We got the game on right now. West Virginia just homered in the left field bullpen. It is a slugfest between West Virginia and Troy. And if this is the case with the weather right now, you're talking about a College World Series that could be rather wild with the potent offenses that are up there. So we'll get an update on that coming up a little bit later on. Let's have some fun in our next segment as well. Pro Football Focus went back the last 20 years and graded all the Saints. What is the all-PFF Saints team from 2006 to 2025? Braxton has filled out his list. I've got the answers here. Give that some thought during commercial break. Think about your team of all-PFF Saints players over the last 20 years. We'll get to the starting lineup when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com. HighlandIG.com is that website. Look, benefits are tricky right now because the cost is prohibitive in a lot of cases, and they know that at the Highland Insurance Group. If you're a CFO, you're a business owner, you know that benefits are really, really important to acquiring talent and to keeping talent in your organization. And it's expensive. The Highland Insurance Group is not suggesting they're a silver bullet, but they are suggesting they can be another option. There's one carrier in Louisiana that is really rising with the rates. You're looking to get the best health care, the best dental, the best vision that you can for your employees, but the rates are going up and up. And if you just had a bad renewal, you feel apprehensive about the one coming up, contact Jonathan Carbo and the team at the Howard Insurance Group, and they'll take a look for you. They've got relationships with multiple carriers. They can get second opinions. They can give second options to see if you can save some cash, because we know that bottom line is tough when it comes to benefits. Contact the Highland Insurance Group. They're here in Baton Rouge. You can find them online at HighlandIG.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Speaking of Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp, let me tell you about them because they bring you our Friday shows every single week. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. You can go by and get a late lunch right now on Government between Foster and Jefferson. Unbelievable shrimp po' boy. They give you catfish po' boy as well. Jumbo Gulf shrimp, clean, crispy fried catfish. The shoestring fries are awesome. They got your honey butter rolls. It's great. Stop by for a great dinner tonight as well. They got the big haul is what they call their kind of bulk order. If you got like a Hester size family and want to feed like 1 million people under your roof, they can do that over at Corks. They also are happy to do catering. So if you've got a graduation party that's coming up, if you've got a family reunion coming up, maybe you've just want to feed the office on a Friday or something like that, Corks is great with catering to get you the big trays of everything that they've got. So check out that menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. They are on Government between Foster and Jefferson. Great partners here at the Hunt Palmer Show. Bring you our Friday shows each and every week. All right, Pro Football Focus did a cool thing. They've been around for 20 years now, 2005 through 2026. So you're talking about 20 years of data that Pro Football Focus can offer. And they're doing a deal where they go through the last 20 years of every NFL organization and come up with a starting lineup. There are 12 on offense and 12 on defense, one extra, but 12 on each. And they did the Saints earlier this week. And so Braxton is a lifelong Saints fan. I've got the list in front of me. What we're going to let Braxton do is try to guess over the last 20 years what this Saints starting lineup looks like. So Braxton, let's open the mic, and we'll start with a softball. Quarterback's obviously Ian Book, so we'll move forward off of that. Who you got at quarterback?
Well, I was going to go with Jameis, but we can go with Drew Brees.
Drew Brees at quarterback is a pretty safe bet. He is your quarterback for this squad. So we'll move on from that softball. Let's go to running back, where you've probably got two options, maybe a third if you consider Reggie Bush, but probably two options.
I did Deuce McAllister and Alvin Kamara.
There's only one running back, and
Alvin Kamara is the one then.
Alvin Kamara is the one running back there. Mark Ingram did run for 1,000 yards, but Alvin Kamara is your guy. Now you got three wide receivers to choose from. Give me your wide receiver number one.
Marcus Colston.
Marcus Colston is one of the top three wide receivers. How about number two?
Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas is there as well. There's a third wide receiver. Who you got?
Lance Moore.
It is not Lance Moore. You got one more guess, and then I'll give you the answer.
Devery Henderson.
It is not Devery Henderson. What you got, Alondra?
Can I give you an unlikely guess, or maybe
Sure.
People, is it Olave?
It is Chris Olave. A couple of 1,000-yard seasons for Chris Olave. So your skill position players on the outside: Breeze, Kamara, Michael Thomas, Marcus Colston, and Chris Olave. Two tight ends. What you got?
Jimmy Graham and Benjamin Watson.
Jimmy Graham is correct. Ben Watson is not. Now you got to think a little bit outside the box on this tight end. That gives it away. But what you got?
Jeremy Shockey.
Nope. Taysom Hill is listed as a tight end here for the purposes of this.
I like it.
Those are your skill positions on the Saints offense. Now let's go to the offensive line. You got a left tackle for me?
Teron Armstead.
Teron Armstead is your left tackle. How about right tackle?
Ooh.
Guy could be going to the Hall of Fame, one of the best in the league for a couple of years.
Ramczyk.
Ryan Ramczyk is your right tackle. I don't know if he's going to the Hall of Fame. He didn't play a very long time, but he was as good a right tackle as there was in the NFL. So that's those are your two tackles. At the guards, who you got over the last 20 years?
See, I got Jari Evans at one. I didn't get a second guard.
That's okay. You're young for this. Some people that are in their 40s are like, are you kidding me? Yeah, the Saints had the best guard duo in the NFL when they won the Super Bowl. It was Jari Evans on the right side and Carl Nix on the left side. So those two guys are phenomenal players, multi-time All-Pros, and those are your guards at center. Who you got?
Eric McCoy.
Eric McCoy is your center. So that's your 12. Up front, left to right, Teron Armstead, Carl Nix, Eric McCoy, Jari Evans, Ryan Ramczyk. Drew Brees under center, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Marcus Colston, Jimmy Graham, and Taysom Hill on the outside. Now, let's go to the defense, which I think creates a little bit more intrigue. There are some names here that might surprise you a touch. PFF is not necessarily right in line with Pro Bowlers all the time. So let's go on the defensive line interior here. What do you got for defensive tackle?
We got David Onyemata and Sheldon Rankins.
Sheldon Rankins is not a terrible guess. You got to go a little bit further back than that. Brian Young is actually correct, which was 2006 to 2008. How old were you for that?
Two.
So I'm not going to be too mad at you for that. But Onyemata is a great pull, 2016 to 2022, when the Saints were as good a run defense as there was in the NFL. Brian Young in there as well. Got a couple of edge players for me.
Cam Jordan and Carl Granderson.
Carl Granderson is a better guess, but there was one really good year in there for Marcus Davenport, who had a big year on Pro Football Focus. I realized that he wasn't the draft pick that everybody wanted. It didn't pan out great for him, but those Pro Football Focus is looking at some metrics like that.
Lamar.
Those are your two edge rushers. Linebacker.
We got Demario Davis.
Yes.
Jonathan Vilma.
Should be. That's a better guess than the correct answer. I think that's a great guess. That's what I would have said too. I think this is ridiculous. I don't even know what the PFF metric is that puts this guy in the conversation, but it's not Jonathan Vilma.
Pete Warner.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Pete Warner. I don't.
Over Vilma?
That's a bad take.
I don't like that.
It's a bad PFF take, but it's not my list. It's PFF's list. There's one linebacker as well who has appeared on this station a number of times.
I feel like I'm supposed to know this.
Goes on with Matt a little bit. Still keeps his toe in the media. Was on the Super Bowl team.
I don't know.
Y'all are babies. Scott Fujita. Scott Fajita is the answer. He was a linebacker there on the Super Bowl team. So that's your linebacking core: Demario Davis, Pete Werner, and Scott Fajita. I don't know maybe Pete Werner did a good job in the coverage or something. I don't know. Maybe a good blitzer, but I'll take Vilma on my all-time team. All right, so you got 3 corners. What do we got, Braxton?
We got Marshawn Lattimore.
Absolutely.
Tracy Porter.
No, good play. Not as good as this guy in the totality.
Roman Harper.
Roman Harper is good. And that's another SEC player, just not from Alabama.
Yeah. Malcolm Jenkins.
Malcolm Jenkins is one of them at Ohio State. You got one more SEC player that's got to go back to 09 through 13.
09-13. I don't know. That one's not too much ringing a bell.
Nope. Jabari Greer is the correct answer there, former Tennessee Vol. So you got Marshawn Lattimore and Malcolm Jenkins coming from Ohio State, Jabari Greer there. And then you got 2 safeties.
Well, on here I had
Tyron
is correct.
Yeah, I had Tyrann and Roman Harper.
Roman Harper's a good guess as well. Marcus Williams did a really nice job for the Saints before he signed in free agency. So yeah, that's one. I think of all the misses you had, I'm not mad at you for missing Brian Young. You were 2 years old. I'm not too mad at you for missing Marcus Davenport because he was basically a bust. Certainly not mad at you for missing Pete Werner, and not mad at you for missing. What
about head coach?
Yeah, well, Dennis Allen's the obvious pick there. PFF did a phenomenal job. Who were some of the coaches they had while they were while Peyton was like out on suspension? That's the good stuff. Because they had a coach and then he was suspended, so he couldn't coach. It was a special teams coach. I can't even remember who it was, but
it's not the one that Rizzi or something.
Yeah, Darren Rizzi was on there as well. Who coached the Saints? I mean, there are people that are listening.
Isn't he the special teams coach?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
And he was the coach when Dennis Allen got fired.
Yeah.
When Sean Payton was suspended. This is really good. While I search it on the internet, Joe Vitt. That's who I was looking for. I was looking for Joe Vitt and Aaron Cromer were the coaches when Sean Payton either was suspended or got COVID.
Perfect.
That's who they went to. But nice job, Braxton. How do you feel you did on that?
I think I did pretty good. I mean,
Ball knower.
Yeah, I mean that's just from the Saints being on in the background, and I guess my dad gives me a little bit of knowledge here and there.
There you go. There's you look at the Saints all PFF team for the last 20 years. Thought that would be fun, so we ran through it here on a Friday. We got 30 minutes left to go. I'll get you caught up on a little bit of LSU baseball, the news of the day, and then we'll do a little College World Series, and that'll be about it for us. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First American Bank and Trust, FABT.com is the website. That's FABT.com. But don't go to the website. Go to the bank. You're thinking, well, where is it? Well, there's 25 of them in Southeast Louisiana. You can find one pretty quickly if you're in the area. Whether you're here just outside Baton Rouge, Dutchtown, or Jones Creek, maybe you're down the Bayou, St. John, Lafourche, Terrebonne, maybe up the I-12 corridor. You can find one in St. Tammany and Tangipahoa Parish. There's also a location in Metairie. No matter where you are in Southeast Louisiana, First American Bank and Trust is there, and they've been there since 1910. That's 116 years, y'all. Go with the local option. If you're looking for a commercial loan, First American Bank and Trust. Looking for a personal loan, First American Bank and Trust. And you can trust, if you will, that decision based on your situation is going to be made locally. Not some call center in Atlanta, not some call center in Chicago. You pick up the phone, you call First American Bank and Trust, you get Southeast Louisiana. So if you're looking for a loan, commercial, personal, First American Bank and Trust, 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana, online at FABT.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Love telling you about my friends over at Marucci. You can find them online at maruccisports.com, but don't go to that website either. Go to Marucci. Take a tour of the home of the official bat of Major League Baseball. Literally, the best players in the world swing Maruccis, and you can go see how that process is borne out when you take a tour of Marucci. They make 1,200 bats every single day. You can see where they're cut, see where they're stained, see where they're shipped off to, again, the best players in the world. You can also learn the story of how they went from a backyard shed to the official bat of Major League Baseball in 22 years. It's an incredible story right here in Baton Rouge. Also, if you've got a youth baseball or softball player under your roof that wants to work during the summer months on his or her game, They got the Hitter's House. If you get a membership, you can get key card access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to take some swings and work on their indoor facility. You can do that if it's raining, if it's 102 degrees, if it's dark, if it's light, if it's morning, if it's night. It's always open over there at the Hitter's House. Go check them out online at MarucciSports.com, but just go see them over there at Marucci. All right, moving along here, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Got about 20 minutes to go here. Troy and West Virginia tied at 4 in the fourth inning. Been a bit of a slugfest early on. Neither of those two teams has a true ace, so not shocking to see the offenses swing the bats well. But based on what I'm looking at on the screen, the ball's jumping a little bit in Omaha, and that's not the case last year. It has been thus far. Now, a lot of line drives by those teams, but we'll see. As I mentioned in the last segment, I think Ole Miss and North Carolina are going to be pretty satisfied with the way this game is going, because you're probably going to see a lot of pitchers being used by these two teams if this keeps up. The starters just haven't missed a lot of barrels to this point. So we'll see. I'll talk a little bit more about the College World Series coming up, but I want to revisit the biggest story of the day, which we talked about an hour and a half ago. I always say this, but if you've been with us for an hour and 38 minutes, I really appreciate it. But most of you have not. So I'll go ahead and kind of revisit the story that we talked about at the top of the show. Stephen Milam has officially withdrawn his name from the Major League Baseball draft. This is not stunning news. I went on record suggesting that Milam certainly had a door open to returning to LSU. I thought it was less than 50-50 because that's just kind of the way it goes with juniors in college baseball, but he's a flawed professional prospect. He's not a flawed college baseball player. He's a great college baseball player. And so what LSU now returns with Stephen Milam is the best defensive shortstop in college baseball, and you are pairing him very likely with a second baseman who's extremely experienced and wonderful on defense as well. That is Cade Kurland. Cade Kurland, according to Joe Doyle, has also removed his name from the MLB draft. When this news broke that he was transferring from Florida to LSU last night, I sent feelers out in Baton Rouge and Gainesville to kind of check the temperature on it. LSU felt they had a really good chance to get Kurland to school and keep him out of the professional ranks. Keep in mind, he's already played 4 years of college baseball, and Florida felt like he was going to sign. No matter if he was drafted or not, he was going to sign an undrafted free agent deal, give professional baseball a chance, and then move on to his potential career, which is going to be in finance. He's a finance major, is probably destined for a hedge fund somewhere, and that may be delayed a little bit because he's going to come to LSU. He is not putting his name in the Major League Baseball draft. So LSU now likely has a middle infield of Stephen Milam and Cade Kurland. That likely pushes Dawson Park to third base. John Pearson will compete. Jack Ruckert will compete. They're going to bring freshmen in that are very talented, and I don't think they're done in the transfer portal. But as I said yesterday, and now this is even more evident, I feel like LSU is probably, not definitely, probably low on funds for next season when you consider Landon Hood's the top pitcher in the portal. He's coming to LSU. Bino Waters is the top hitter in the portal. He's coming to LSU. Dawson Park, a coveted draft prospect next year, he's coming to LSU. And you're bringing Stephen Milam back. And as I said yesterday, you still have to leave funds off to the side for the high school kids. You've got to take Major League Baseball and hit them with a broom to keep them off your signing class, which you struggled to do last year. You got to have funds to do that. So I'm a little surprised that LSU's got enough money to do this with Stephen Milam. As I mentioned in the first hour, I saw a Stephen Milam life-size cutout at the gas station I went into today, so there are clearly financial opportunities for him here in Baton Rouge. But you can't imagine that there's just endless money over at LSU for baseball. High amount of money? Yes. But here's my concern, because there's not really any on offense. I'm looking at what I've drawn out offensively for this team. You've got Cade Arambidi and Omar Cerna splitting time at catcher and DH. You've got Mason Braun at first base. You've got Cade Kurland at second, Stephen Milam at short, Dawson Park at third, Bino Waters in left, William Patrick in center. You got a question mark there in right field. And you've certainly got the opportunity to dive into the transfer portal a little bit more. You got the opportunity to get some freshmen to campus. There's always a freshman at LSU that comes through. If you look back over the 5 years that Jay Johnson has been here, like Jake Brown broke through on that team that went to went to Chapel Hill and was good. So was Stephen Milam on that team. Derek Curiel was sensational last year. Braun and Cerna were great this past year. You had Kason Evans last year as well. You've always had freshmen that have stepped up and been key pieces to what LSU is doing. The 23 team is probably an exception to that. I can't think of, off the top of my head, a freshman that was a huge contributor on that team after Jared Jones kind of lost his job to Beloso. But there's usually a freshman that steps forward, and it stands to reason in a class that has as many good players as this one does, they'll have some offensive freshmen step forward. All of that said, I'm not completely comfortable with the pitching staff. You had the second worst ERA in the Southeastern Conference this year. And what you're telling me is, aside from Landon Hood, you're kind of running it back. And that's scary to me. Jay Johnson will tell you, as he told Michael Cauble this week, Evans will be better, Moore will be better, Schmidt will be better. You add in Landon Hood, Paz will be better, Ricken will be better. Go to the left-handers, Lockenmeyer will be better. You go to Ethan Plog, he'll be better. Santiago Garcia's back. There are some talented dudes here, but it's a lot of the same guys that were pitching to 5.5, 6 ERAs this year. And to suggest that they're all going to just flip a switch and become Anderson and Ianson and Shores, or become Skeens and Floyd and Riley Cooper and that crew, and they're going to become Griffin Herring, I hope so, but it seems like it's optimistic. And this is a conversation that I always have. If you're talking about some talented pitchers, some good pitchers who can go out there and, get drafted high, LSU's got that. But when we have an LSU baseball conversation, we have conversations about winning the national championship, right? And it's hard for me to jump from what I just watched in a pitching staff that, yes, Evans got hurt. Yes, Moore got hurt. Yes, Schmidt got hurt. Yes, everything kind of snowballed and your defense wasn't very good. But it's hard for me to take 9-21 and just flip that into 19-11 and a top 8 seed in a national championship. That's a hard transition to make on the mound. So I'm hopeful there's one more trick up the sleeve for a dynamic arm, whether it's an All-American type closer or a probable weekend starter. I'm hopeful that's in there. Because all of a sudden, if you pair that with Landon Hood and Kason Evans and William Schmidt and Cooper Moore, and you tell me that Paz is kind of becoming a closer or that kind of thing, it becomes a little bit more digestible, a little bit more reasonable. I don't mean to dump cold water on a great day for LSU baseball, because getting Stephen Milam and Cade Curlin to bail on the MLB and come back and be your middle infield next year is a huge deal. And this LSU offense looks championship level good. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I feel great about the pitching today. I'm not panicked about the pitching, and I trust Nate Yeske more than most of y'all do, and I think that there's real potential there. But they got to upgrade. Either everybody has got to elevate their games, or you got to bring in a couple more guys. We'll see. It's a great day for LSU baseball. Don't misunderstand me. But I am analyzing the entirety of the roster, and I'm going to need a little bit more pitching help than what they've got right now, because counting on a bunch of guys to lower their ERA by a run and a half, 2 runs, is a lot to ask. It is. We'll see. West Virginia is forcing Troy to go to the bullpen early in this ball game. That's exactly what Ole Miss and North Carolina want to hear. We'll come back, touch on that game, and then we will go to take it or leave it and get out of here. It's a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Weekend's here. A lot of y'all have got that week in the rearview mirror. Quitting time may be close for some of you, the rest of you. You want to play some golf, but you don't have 5 hours? Go to Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. I told y'all earlier this week, when we were waiting on our guests to come in and play for a spot in Swing Easy Golf Club's Summer League, I fired up the simulator by myself, brought my clubs, was waiting on them, and I was playing Cypress Point, and I would have finished 18 holes in about 45 minutes. So if you want to take a 5-hour golf round and instead play it in 45 minutes to an hour, that fits into your weekend schedule better, Swing Easy Golf Club's awesome for it. You can play Pebble Beach. You can play TPC Sawgrass. You can play that course they give out the green jacket for. It's all right there on the swing simulator, and it's awesome. They're on Segan at Perkins. Great place to play some golf on the weekend. Bring some friends, crank the tunes, drink some cold beers or seltzers. They got them up front. Got the television on. You can watch college baseball. You can watch the World Cup. It's all there at Swing Easy Golf Club. Online at swingeasygcbr.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Switchfoot. Is that
so
right?
Close. So
That's
close.
wrong?
It's wrong.
Hold on.
This is like when you thought Vertical Horizon was Matchbox 20.
I knew those. That was there's something on the tip of my tongue with
They
an
have
S.
one song and it's this one.
The Reason. Hoobastank.
Yes.
Got it. Nailed it. That's got to be like 9th grade.
I don't know.
The Reason. Hoobastank. They were brainstorming, and that's the band name they came up with.
Hoobastank. Let's do it.
Probably do a little bit better than that. 5 for West Virginia up in Omaha. Looks like a gorgeous day there in America's heartland. I'd like to be there 365 days from now. See if we can do that.
My Hunt Palmer playlist, by the way.
I appreciate that very much. You know I'm going to see the Goo Goo Dolls next month. No,
Wait, stop.
August.
Where?
The Wharf, Gulf Shores. Me and
That
Alyssa
is-
going over.
Y'all are about to have the best time ever.
Could be some drinks. Just the
I
over
mean, mom
under.
and dad out.
The over under on drinks is like 418. So we'll
Yeah.
see. By the way, let's play Take It or Leave It. Running out of time.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Hungover Alyssa, take it or leave it.
Take it. Although she's probably going to have to drive me home. So maybe not as bad. Maybe the second night.
All right, for real. Take it or leave it. Rocco's.
I'm going to leave it. I had a Jello shot in 2023. It's always so crowded, and there are other bars I like more than Rocco's. The location's
Like what?
great. I like the Blatt. I like the old Mattress Factory.
The Mattress Factory is cool.
Is awesome.
Yeah.
And that's where I spend most of my time. But I like the hotel bars around the corner, too. Rocco's
Yeah.
is just so crowded and so loud. It's just not my scene. It's a very and plus, in 25, like I wasn't out getting hammered drunk. I was working until because LSU played at 6 every night. I was getting off at like 10 sober. Everybody in there is canned. So that's not the scene I was looking for at that point. So I haven't spent a lot of time in Rocco's. I'm pro Rocco's. I think the Jello shot thing is funny. If they're going to send a bunch of money to charity, that's great.
Yeah.
But it's just not where I go.
The Drover, take it or leave it.
Take it. Great whiskey steak. I have not been there since 2013, so it's been a minute, but it was very good in 2013 when I went. Quintessential Omaha place, very casual, but good steak, great salad bar. I'm in on the Drover.
The Henry Dorley Zoo.
Yep.
Take it or leave it.
I've never been. I'm going to leave it. If I'm in Omaha, probably not going,
I'm
to,
not
the
going to the zoo.
Now, if Myers comes or Keller comes and their kids, and we got a day off or two or something, then that may introduce that. But if I'm there, it's going to be at the ballpark or at the bar or the restaurant.
Yeah.
I'm not going to the zoo. But
Why
I hear
would
that it's apparently that in San Diego are 2 of the best zoos in the country.
Okay, Omaha, I was not familiar with your zoo game.
Yeah, they got it.
LSU's headed for Omaha next year. Take it or leave it.
Take it.
I'll take it.
I mean, I have
Hell
to
yeah.
take it, right?
Let's
They're
go.
showing Ole Miss coming through the hotel lobby. That gives me the feels. I
Leave
have
it.
been there.
Leave that.
That's the Hilton. Yes, that gives me great vibes. They got to. Now, as I just said in the last segment, they got to pitch better, and I don't know where that's coming from, but let's hope that it's coming from the guys on the roster.
The U.S. starts 1-0 in World Cup play tonight. Take it or leave it.
I mean, take it, but maybe not take it. They're playing Paraguay. That's a small country, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like in South America.
Give me a Paraguay population as I look at this.
Paraguay population. Let's see. It is 7.1 million
Okay,
people.
well, that's quite a lot smaller than us, but it's bigger than I thought it was. We should beat Paraguay in everything. I don't care. Beat them in soccer. I can't name one player on the team. Go America. Can you name one player on the team?
On Paraguay?
No, on our team.
No.
America?
Landon Donovan?
Freddie Adu.
I hate this question. The Spurs are done. Take it or leave it. Answer carefully here.
I would leave it. I don't think they're done.
Yes!
I mean, they dominated.
Spurs in 7.
They did a good job in game 3, won the game, and they were in complete control of game 4.
Yeah.
And they're at home. I don't think they're done. The Cubs won. They're down 3-1. Cubs,
Yeah.
but I knew the Cubs were way better than the Indians at that point.
So
Do you know the Spurs are way better than the Knicks?
Yeah, I think the Spurs are technically a better team than the Knicks. I think they're just younger and dumber than the Knicks are.
Well, dumb is bad. So hopefully that gets done. Is that it, or we got one more?
No, that was it.
That was it? Good, because we only got 30 seconds left. So that'll do it. Our Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish, and Shrimp. If you missed any of today's show, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. LSU football, Preston Guy. You can find that at Hunt on LSU. Always talking Saints every day. You can find that at Hunt on Saints. And we're back on Monday. I believe Matt is out today. Sounds like he's flying to Vegas, so Musso's going to drive you home. He's going to be in a good mood because Stephen Milan's back. Have a great weekend. Back Monday.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC. FabryChevrolet.com is the website. That's FabryChevrolet.com. They're on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Go check them out. They've got incredible deals all month long on their trucks. If you're looking for a 2026 Chevy Silverado, you can get one. 0% APR financing for 36 months. That's throughout June. That offer stands. Same thing goes for the 2026 GMC Sierra 1500s. You can get those at 2.9% for 72 months. And look, if you're looking for a Chevy Trailblazer, maybe a Chevy Trax, those are as low as $30,000. If you're looking for a new vehicle, Fabry Chevrolet GMC's got you covered. Looking for a pre-owned vehicle, Fabry Chevrolet GMC has you covered there as well. You can go to the website, FabryChevrolet.com, and sort. Sort by price, sort by make and model, sort by mileage, sort by new or pre-owned. All that is at your disposal right there at your fingertips. Go see them, Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Fabry Chevrolet.